Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 444 based on novel. So let's start. When Wang Lin saw that the restriction was activated, he waved his right hand and the blood sword appeared. Bloodlight flashed inside the bubble and slashed forward. The bubble collapsed and Wang Lin took a step out. He already knew there was a problem with the red fog. Even if esteemed Ling Dong had made him go first, Wang Lin had a way to defuse the danger and launch an ambush. Wang Lin rushed into the passage. Inside the passage, esteemed Ling Dong coughed out blood and quickly retreated. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes and the blood sword shot forward. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Esteemed Ling Dong waved his hand, but he didn't expect the blood sword to be so powerful. It penetrated his right arm. He let out a muffled groan, and he couldn't help but pause. Wang Lin didn't hesitate. He knew that this person was half a step into the third step. If he was going to kill him, he had to be decisive. After the blood sword shot out, the thunder tattoo in his right eye appeared. The 9 accompanying thunders rotated around it and it shot into the fog toward esteemed Ling Dong. Thunder essence. Esteemed Ling Dong had been seriously injured by the restriction and then was injured by the blood sword. Now he was being blocked by the thunder tattoo, and his eyes were filled with shock. The thunder tattoo was too fast and they were too close, so it closed in a flash. Esteemed Ling Dong's face was pale and he waved his hand. His little remaining joss flames appeared, forming a giant statue before him. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the thunder tattoo landed on the statue. The statue was completely black and had its arm folded. The violent thunder force surged like crazy, causing cracks to appear on the statue before it suddenly collapsed. The thunder tattoo was knocked back into Wang Lin's eye and esteemed Ling Dong coughed out blood. He closed in with a ferocious expression and he was about to charge out of the fog. There was a roar from the fog as if something was charging out. Within the depths of the passage, a red Chilean-like beast was rushing out. It's a rank for fire Dao spirit. Esteemed Ling Dong's mind was shaking, but he didn't have time to think about it. Before him was Wang Lin and behind him was the raging rank 4 Dao spirit. He had no time to refine the Dao spirit, especially as it was rank 4. More importantly, the restriction was showing signs of awakening. If he couldn't get out in a short period of time, he would be trapped inside and it would be very dangerous. He had fallen for Wang Lin's trap inside the passage and a strange restriction had entered his origin soul. He suppressed it at first, but the blood sword had caused it to loosen. Then the thunder essence caused his suppression to collapse completely, and the restriction erupted inside his body. Esteemed Ling Dong hadn't faced this kind of life and death situation in tens of thousands of years. He had never expected himself to end up in such a miserable state in the hands of a junior. However, he was someone who was half a step into the third step. Although it was dangerous, he decisively gave up the Dao spirit and charged toward Wang Lin. His eyes revealed monstrous killing intent and he hated Wang Lin to the bone. Do you really think you can trap this old man? Once I leave, I'll refine your soul. With a roar, esteemed Ling Dong moved at an indescribable speed and was almost out of the fog. But how could Wang Lin let him escape? After using the thunder tattoo, the 9-colored fire in his left eye began to roar. The 9-colored fire formed a firestorm and shot toward esteemed Ling Dong. There is also a fire essence. Who the hell are you? Esteemed Ling Dong's hand formed a seal and he coughed out a mouthful of origin energy that turned into a mountain and ocean painting. The painting had a boundless ocean, and as the fire was about to collide with the mountain, esteemed Ling Dong roared, "Tsunami!" As his voice echoed, the ocean inside the painting rushed out like crazy, forming a monstrous wave that rushed toward the 9-colored firestorm. Thunderous rumbles echoed and large amount of white gas shot into the air. Wang Lin's 9-colored firestorm collapsed and the 9-colored fire was pushed back. The entire ocean had evaporated, leaving only the mountain. Wang Lin coughed out blood and was pushed back several steps, but his expression was ferocious and there was a hint of madness hidden within. He could not let this person leave. He was going to kill a powerful cultivator half a step into the third step. Mountain spirit. Esteemed Ling Dong was less than 30 feet from leaving the fog, and he ignored the fire Dao spirit behind him. He waved his right hand and the mountain charged at Wang Lin. Back off! Esteemed Ling Dong's voice shook the world. Fire burned in Wang Lin's left eye and thunder flashed in his right eye. They rushed out and formed a bolt of burning thunder between his eyebrows. It shot out at the meteor-like mountain. Power of heavenly thunder! All thunder, gather for me. Power of heavenly fire! All fire, gather for me. Fire and thunder essences, fuse and break all spells for me. When the thunder and fire meteor shot out at the mountain, a thunderous rumble echoed. Then a boundless force that seemed like it would tear the world apart scattered. The mountain suddenly collapsed and esteemed Ling Dong's eyes filled with disbelief. He was blocked by this impact. Wang Lin didn't retreat and forced himself to stay still. He then raised his right hand and pointed at esteemed Ling Dong inside the fog. Ethereal fire, burn! Ethereal fire suddenly appeared inside the shocked esteemed Ling Dong's body. The fire came too quickly, so he wasn't prepared at all when it began burning. Esteemed Ling Dong let out a miserable scream as the fire filled his body. He coughed out blood, but it immediately evaporated. Intense pain came from his body and the restriction inside his origin soul erupted, making his injuries even worse. Ethereal fire cultivator, damned ethereal fire cultivator! Esteemed Ling Dong roared as he withstood the pain of his body burning and struggled to step forward. He was less than 20 feet from leaving the fog. As he stepped forward, his hand suddenly tore at the space before him and he roared, "Open the great devil Ling Dong realm. I use myself as Joss Flame to summon my Ling Dong clan's devil god." In an instant, a giant spatial rift appeared before him and endless devilish energy rushed out. Just as the rift appeared, Wang Lin took out the ancient leaf and was about to seal it. However, just at this moment, a second ancient leaf appeared from esteemed Ling Dong's hand. The two leaves collided and rolled off to the side. Without the ancient leaf, a giant black statue came out of the rift. This statue was the same as the one esteemed Ling Dong had summoned before, only even more realistic. It had its arm folded, and the moment it appeared, its arms began to tremble. The arms that were folded suddenly loosened and a powerful destructive force rushed out toward Wang Lin. This destructive force made Wang Lin feel danger, and he even felt like his ancient god body was about to be torn apart. Facing danger, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to raise his right hand, and the ancient god gauntlet appeared in his hand. Ancient blessing! In a flash, the shadow of the giant ancient god appeared before Wang Lin. The body filled with scars blocked the attack with his back. His arms were holding Wang Lin. The destructive force hit the ancient god's shadow. The ancient god remained unmoving as it blocked this destructive force. Its giant body suddenly turned and his hand formed a fist. The fist moved like a meteor. Although it was the second time Wang Lin had seen it, the grace and warmth still shook him. The punch landed directly on the giant statue and shattered it to pieces. The fragments of the statue were pushed back and, along with the remaining power of the punch, landed on esteemed Ling Dong, who had just stepped out from the fog. Thunderous rumbles echoed and esteemed Ling Dong coughed out several mouthfuls of blood before being knocked back into the fog. The ancient god disappeared. Wang Lin knew that esteemed Ling Dong was already injured to a certain extent, so he no longer hesitated. His left hand formed a seal and he reached out. The three jade that had been freezing the fog gave off a ghostly light and were pulled out by Wang Lin. When the jades flew out, the red fog recovered. The red fog moved like crazy and the hole was about to fix itself. No! Esteemed Ling Dong rushed out once more while the rank 4 Dao spirit closed in. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as he raised his right hand and pointed at esteemed Ling Dong, who was half devoured by the fog. Stop! The stop spell had to be used at the most critical moment and couldn't be used too early, or else the target would guard against it. It had to succeed in one use. Therefore, it could be considered an unexpected killing move. The stop spell had accompanied Wang Lin for more than 1,000 years, and it had been used to great effect every time. Esteemed Ling Dong was seriously injured and was on the verge of dying. Now his body trembled as the red fog roared and fixed the hole, It also devoured esteemed Ling Dong. To use the smallest price in exchange for the greatest reward, that was Wang Lin's principle for fighting. If he had taken the jade before esteemed Ling Dong was more injured, esteemed Ling Dong might have broken free. The stop spell was the same, so Wang Lin had to fight and cause esteemed Ling Dong to reach the limit of his injury. At the most critical moment, he was going to take the jade and use the stop spell to land the fatal blow. Wang Lin quickly formed seals and restrictions landed on the red fog. Roars came from the fog for a long time before it gradually calmed down. I'm not afraid of restrictions, but for the Tao spirit to be sealed inside, then it must be extremely powerful. I'll let them fight, and that will benefit me the most. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. This was all part of his plan. If esteemed Ling Dong wasn't seriously injured, the Tao spirit might not have been his match and it would inevitably be damaged. However, right now this was very suitable for Wang Lin's plan. The thunder in Wang Lin's right eye flew out and the thunder tattoo came with it. It floated above the red fog, and bolts of thunder descended, forming a net. Fire rushed out from his left eye and formed a sea of fire that burned the red fog. It fused with the thunder and became a blockade. After doing this, Wang Lin pointed to between his eyebrows and his ancient god stars rotated. The Emperor Furnace appeared and surrounded the fog. Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and he sent out a restriction, then the Emperor Furnace began refining. Looking at the fog, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The Emperor Furnace was a royal ancient god weapon, and aside from its powerful defense, it was used to refine. Not to refine pills or treasures, but to refine ancient slaves. After doing this, Wang Lin no longer looked at the fog but walked toward the two leaves that had sealed each other. With a wave of his right hand, the two leaves flew at him. I didn't expect esteemed Ling Dong to also possess an ancient leaf. I just don't know where he got it from. Wang Lin separated the two leaves. Holding the one that belonged to esteemed Ling Dong, high divine sense swept through it along with ancient god power to wipe the divine sense from it. After all, it was a treasure of the ancient order, so outsiders couldn't truly control it. After leaving his ancient god aura on the leaf, Wang Lin carefully put them away. This treasure had great use to him. In some cases, it could be compared to the stop spell. Wang Lin's gaze swept by and he looked at the 2,000-foot dark red platform. In a flash, he appeared on the platform. Before, esteemed Ling Dong said, second-rank platform. He must have meant this. I just don't know what use this has. Wang Lin frowned as he knelt down and began examining it. A moment later, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he saw some clues. The surface of the platform had many lines under the dark red blood. Wang Lin immediately figured everything out at a glance. They were the numbers that appeared between the cultivator's eyebrows. When they were fighting for the platforms, even when the cultivators died, the numbers didn't dissipate. Instead, they turned into runes and floated there. When he first saw this, he didn't realize the secret, but now that he had examined the platform, he understood everything. Those number runes can allow the platform to upgrade, Wang Lin murmured as he looked down. There were 589 marks on the platform. More than 10 cultivators had died here, and although they were dead, their number runes were floating there. Even the red storm didn't destroy the runes, and since esteemed Ling Dong and the middle-aged scholar were anxious for the treasure, they didn't find time to collect them. There was a flash of light in Wang Lin's eyes and he waved his sleeve. Those runes flew toward him and, after looking at them, he placed them on the platform beneath him. The runes landed on the platform and soon fused with it. After the 11th rune fused, the platform shook violently. Endless dust came from all directions and merged with the platform. The platform seemed to grow a full circle. The dust seemed to be piercing the void and then endlessly fusing with the platform. The platform gradually grew larger and larger, 23,000 feet, 25,000 feet, 28,000 feet, until it was 30,000 feet before it stopped shaking. Its color was no longer dark red but purple. At a glance, it was like a small continent. What amazed Wang Lin was not the platform growing, but how it seemed to have to gain life. The moment it became a 30,000-foot platform, an aura entered Wang Lin through his feet. Memories appeared in Wang Lin's mind, and before he could react, they became a part of him. Wang Lin closed his eyes and a map immediately appeared before him. This map was very large, but most of it was covered by black fog. Only 3 places were not shrouded by black fog, and these 3 places took up 30% of the map. After taking a careful look, Wang Lin found where he was. This place was called the Land of Fire, and in the 3 areas that were open in the map, there were 3 places like this. He also saw a route that led into the depths of the ancient tomb. His mind trembled, and after a long time, he opened his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he was startled. Right now, countless rifts still remained in this sealed land. These rifts were like wounds that opened and closed. It was extremely strange. His eyes narrowed and he took a step forward, leaving the platform. Just as he left, the rifts he could see disappeared. They were erased from his vision. When he retreated back to the platform, those rifts appeared in his eyes once more. This platform is strange, Wang Lin pondered a bit but couldn't think of a reason. He vaguely had an idea that in this ancient order tomb, the platforms were everything. The platform should have reached the 3rd rank. If I can raise it higher, perhaps not only will the map be revealed, but it will gain more abilities, Wang Lin pondered, and a moment later his gaze fell on the Emperor Furnace. Thunder and fire staggered inside the furnace as the fog was being refined. The fog had shrunk from 10,000 feet to 8,000 feet, and it was still shrinking. With a sneer, Wang Lin sat down outside the Emperor Furnace. His hand formed seals and restrictions pierced the Emperor Furnacing, landing on the red fog. Aside from the ancient soul restriction, Wang Lin was good with the rest. As he continued to weaken the restrictions inside the red fog, layer upon layer of red fog dissipated. After 15 minutes, only 1,000 feet of red fog remained, revealing the platform the ancient god was carrying. Wang Lin waved his hand and the 3 jades left by the middle-aged scholar shot out. They penetrated the Emperor Furnace and shot into the fog, causing it to stop moving. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he suddenly stood up. His right hand pressed against the Emperor Furnace and his ancient god power rushed in. Countless souls rushed out and formed a giant pair of hands. The hands charged into the fog and mercilessly tore it apart. The fog was ripped open, revealing the truth inside. Before Wang Lin could get a good look, a heaven-shaking roar echoed and rushed out. It seemed to be able to detect Wang Lin, and it charged toward Wang Lin's direction. Thunderous rumbles echoed. Wang Lin coldly looked at the chilling-like Tao spirit that smashed into the Emperor Furnace and was knocked back. Its body was covered in wounds and it looked dispirited. It was obvious that its battle against esteemed Ling Dong was very difficult. However, the ferociousness in its eyes hadn't lessened at all. As it retreated, it continued to let out roars. Beside him was a corpse. It was a bloody mess. It was esteemed Ling Dong. The Emperor Furnace belonged to Wang Lin, so there was no way for esteemed Ling Dong to hide. Wang Lin saw that esteemed Ling Dong wasn't dead. Instead, his origin soul was hidden and he was rapidly recovering. Wang Lin raised his right hand and formed a seal before pointing at the Emperor Furnace. Ghosts appeared and took the Tao spirit away, leaving only esteemed Ling Dong lying there. Don't pretend to be dead, I don't plan to kill you. Rather than a dead Ling Dong, I want a 3rd-step ancient slave. Wang Lin's voice echoed as his 6 ancient god stars rotated. Ancient god energy poured into the furnace and he began the cruel slave refining process. Esteemed Ling Dong, who was lying there, suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a hideous expression. He got up and sat down. His gloomy eyes stared ahead and seemed to be able to see through the Emperor Furnace to see Wang Lin refining outside. However, right now he was like an empty oil lamp. To make this old man end up in this sorry state, you can't be nameless. Who are you? A hoarse voice came from esteemed Ling Dong, and it revealed his monstrous hatred. Wang Lin's expression was calm, and his answer was to surge his ancient god power into the Emperor Furnace. The Emperor Furnace's refining power surged forward and then miserable screams echoed inside the furnace. You want to refine this old man? That's impossible. Although this old man has been seriously injured by you, this old man has cultivated for countless years. My Tao heart is firm, so it is impossible for you to refine me. Esteemed Ling Du sneered. Seeing that Wang Lin didn't speak, He closed his eyes to heal. He concluded that Wang Lin couldn't refine him in a short period of time. As long as he could recover a little, he could break out of this strange furnace and escape. Wang Lin indeed didn't have the cultivation level to refine a third-step cultivator. Even with the Emperor Furnace, it would take a long time, which Wang Lin didn't have in the Ancient Order tomb. "I can't refine you," a hint of mockery flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, and then he surged even more ancient god power into the Emperor Furnace. Even more souls appeared inside the furnace until they formed a storm. As the soul storm howled, it suddenly turned into a giant shadow. This was the shadow of an ancient god. This ancient god looked extremely bizarre. He was red and had a huge axe in his hand. He lifted the axe in his hand and chopped down on esteemed Ling Dong. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he began chanting in the ancient god language, "Emperor Furnace, 10 chops to refine the slave." Illusory imprints appeared and landed on the Emperor Furnace. Thunderous rumbles echoed inside the Emperor Furnace. The red ancient god smashed down the axe in his right hand. It penetrated the storm and descended on esteemed Ling Dong's head. "This old man wants to see how you will refine me." Esteemed Ling Dong's expression suddenly changed and his eyes opened. He looked up at the axe and let out a roar. His hands formed a seal and the phantom of a giant statue appeared before him. This statue was the same as the devil god he had summoned before. In an instant, the axe landed and collided with the ghostly light from the statue. There was a thunderous bang and then the axe dissipated and the statue collapsed. Esteemed Ling Dong coughed out blood. The moment he coughed out the blood turned into a statue that surrounded him. Wang Lin's face turned slightly pale and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Without hesitation, he pointed at the Emperor Furnace. Another axe appeared in the ancient god's hand, and it smashed down. Before the second axe even landed, more souls gathered and another ancient god formed. This second ancient god also held an axe in his right hand and smashed down. This didn't end, the souls condensed like crazy and the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth ancient gods formed. The 8 ancient gods all smashed down with the axes in their hands. The axes looked like one strike, leaving behind after images as they descend toward esteemed Ling Dong. "Refine for me!" Wang Lin roared. There was killing intent in his eyes. Thunderous rumbles echoed like crazy inside the Emperor Furnace. The statue around esteemed Ling Dong was hit by the first axe. It trembled violently but didn't dissipate. The second axe rapidly descended. Third, fourth, until the 8th axe descended as if they had all fused into one. The statue couldn't withstand the monstrous shockwave, so it shattered. The residual energy pierced through the statue and shot directly at esteemed Ling Dong. It landed on esteemed Ling Dong's head at an unimaginable speed and penetrated into the ground with any hesitation. The entire Emperor Furnace trembled and esteemed Ling Dong coughed out blood. There was a brief moment of confusion in his eyes. Wang Lin was waiting for this moment of confusion. The moment that confusion appeared in esteemed Ling Dong's eyes, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange glow. His hand formed a seal and then he pointed to between his eyebrows and muttered, "Dao spell, dream Dao." Inside the Emperor Furnace, esteemed Ling Dong's body trembled and the confusion in his eyes became even stronger. The memories of his entire life flashed through his eyes. "Your talent is very good, so I'll take you into the Ling Dong clan. If you can achieve anything, then it will be your own luck. Remember my name is Wang Lin." The vague figure of a young man spoke to a kneeling teenager before him. "I'll remember this name for life." The teenager's eyes were filled with determination and gratitude. "Although you're not a member of my Ling Dong clan, you are faithful to my Ling Dong clan and are very talented. This old man will give you my clan mark to you. Take care." The old man in black was pale and there was a bloody hole in his chest. His injuries were so serious that even his origin soul had collapsed. He was now on his deathbed. Before him knelt a middle-aged man. This man was Ling Dong. Teacher's real name is Wang Lin. Wang Lin, the man was startled. This man was familiar with the name Wang Lin. In the ancient star system, an old man was quickly escaping. His face was pale and he started to cough out blood. There were 3 people chasing after him. Could it be that I, Ling Dong, will die here today? There was despair in the old man's eyes. The 3 people chasing him suddenly closed in and their spells turned into 3 dragons. When the dragons got close, the old man revealed a miserable smile. He decided to self-destruct in order to kill them. Just at this moment, a gentle light appeared in the void and waved at the 3 people chasing him. The 3 of them coughed out blood and retreated in terror. The person who saved you is Wang Lin. The old man had just survived the jaws of death, but when he heard this name, his eyes were filled with fear and confusion. Again. It's Wang Lin. After an unknown amount of time, there was a white-haired old man in the Ling Dong clan. He was completely rotten and had reached the moment of death. 5th Heaven's Blight? 5th Heaven's Blight? Could it be that my cultivation ends here? The old man revealed a wry smile as the last mouthful of black blood squeezed out from his mouth and he closed his eyes. However, just as he closed his eyes, he seemed to enter a strange world. This place was a complete blur and he couldn't see anything. The only thing that was clear to his eyes was the back of a figure. Become my slave and I'll let your Tao be complete. A cold voice echoed. Who are you? The old man's eyes narrowed. Wang Lin. The figure turned around and a pair of eyes like lightning looked at the old man. The appearance was that of Wang Lin. The old man's mind trembled. With his mental strength, he won't normally be shaken, but the name, Wang Lin, had accompanied him all his life, starting from when he entered the Ling Dong clan. His benefactor teacher, who had given him his clan mark, had said that his name was Wang Lin. Whenever he faced a life-threatening danger, someone who claimed to be Wang Lin would rescue him. All of this was like a dream for him. If you agree, you will no longer be Ling Dong, your new name will be Ancient Slave. The moment this voice echoed, the blurry world collapsed and the countless pieces scattered. This ripped open all of Ling Dong's memories. Inside the Emperor furnace, his body trembled and he became sober. However, although he was sober, there was still confusion in his eyes. The moment he became sober inside the Emperor furnace, the 8 ancient gods overlapped and became the 9th ancient god. The 10th chop smashed down toward esteemed Ling Dong. When it was less than 100 feet away, he struggled with the confusion and was about to resist. However, just at this moment, a cold voice echoed inside the Emperor furnace. Are you Ling Dong or Ancient Slave? Esteemed Ling Dong trembled. Endless fear filled his eyes and he roared, Who the hell are you? I'm Wang Lin. Wang Lin was filled exhaustion outside the Emperor furnace. His voice slowly echoed inside the Emperor furnace and turned into endless thunder inside Ling Dong's mind. All he could hear was the name, Wang Lin, when the axe landed on his head. The axe turned into a circular imprint on his forehead. Then his eyes became dim and he fell down. The soul storm took him away. Outside the Emperor furnace, Wang Lin became even more tired, but there was a hint of joy in his eyes. He took a deep breath. Through the Emperor furnace, Wang Lin had used his dream Tao to mess up Ling Dong's mind. This allowed him to leave his brand on Ling Dong. However, he would still have to refine for a period of time and add a lot of restrictions before Ling Dong could be used. Unfortunately, there are still a lot of drawbacks. The time is limited, so this is all I can do. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and the world inside the Emperor furnace began to change. It was filled with clouds, but the clouds soon dissipated to reveal another world. The Tao spirit Wang Lin had sealed here was constantly roaring, and its body was covered in flames. The injuries it had suffered were recovering at a rapid pace. Seeing this, it wouldn't need long to recover to the state it was in before. Wang Lin didn't know what a Tao spirit was, and it was the first time he had seen something like this. When he saw how fast it was recovering, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. I want to see what this Tao spirit is exactly. Wang Lin's hand formed a seal and then he waved his hand. A stone door appeared inside the Emperor furnace. This was the stone door from the Wind Celestial realm. It was Wang Lin's original spell, Flowing Time. Time reversed and Wang Lin clearly saw the Tao spirit inside the door. It was like layers of mystery was being peeled away. A moment later, Wang Lin's expression changed and he stood up. He subconsciously took a few steps back. This is impossible. This video will end here.